When I think back on all the fears when I was pregnant, all of them dismissed except for one. The only test the state mandated was genetic. Looking for that extra chromosome.
Hello, and welcome to the If We Knew Then podcast. I'm Steven Socks.
And I'm Lori Socks. And today we're going to talk about high school.
Mm-hmm.
Liam is in high school. It's
Wow.
his first week of high school. I just want to, call to mind that I don't know what your experience is, but high school was taken off the table for Liam a long time ago. Actually, I don't know if high school was actually taken off the table, but a meaningful education in high school was taken off the table. Relentlessly, his elementary school attempted to remove him from curriculum from the time he was in kindergarten. We fought the fight to keep Liam on curriculum because we know how important education is in life. If you want to do post-high school education in college, you can't do that without a high school diploma. Historically, individuals with Down syndrome have been denied that and therefore denied the opportunity to secondary education. And that limits their future. That limits, training in something that they want to create their life out of. And so it was really important to us. And also we were a bit insulted at the verbiage that was spoken over our son and the limits that were put on him from
From the get-go.
from the NICU, but also when it came to the educational system and the school district from the time he was 3 years old. That was the story that was the narrative they were trying to push. And that was the wrong narrative, and that narrative did not come from the extra chromosome, and it wasn't going to be something that we were going to allow Liam to write his own narrative. So we're so happy and so proud of Liam, his first day of school. And it's so funny because normally there's those pictures and the boards, and I never have been able to get my act together.
Oh, the board says first day of high school.
Yeah,
first day of third
first
grade.
day. And I think we're just so astounded and celebrating so much that even the board is like, yeah, we have episodes in the past about how different the first day of school it has historically been for us with Liam than even with our daughter Sophia. And there was a long time when that really took a toll because everybody's posting pictures of the first day of school and hugging their teachers and all of these things. And for this community, we are busy making sure the BII is in place, making sure that the BII knows the supports. Has the IEP been read? What are the supports in the classroom? Did you have to hire a lawyer to get your child into the classroom? Is the IEP being upheld? And that is before they walk in the gate on the first day of school. This is what the narrative is. So yeah, if you wake up and you're packing the, dietary restriction lunch
and snack
and writing the notes of don't give him ice cream or pizza on the first day of school.
Right.
And you're busy doing all of that. I don't know about you, but I think I have 2 grades where I have a picture with the sign.
picture with the board.
The picture with the board. Yeah, the picture it has fallen through the cracks. But this week he started high school, and it's really phenomenal. I for the first time in my life, Sophia and I were at the mall, and there was a parent there with a little one who looked like they were about the age where they'd be starting school. And I was right. It was TK. And I went up to them and I said, look, my son just started high school and he's on curriculum. He has a place. And I just unsolicited, which I have to tell you, I am not I am not a recipient of unsolicited.
Right.
I think now I've gotten better, but in the past,
especially when we had Liam that young at that age, we kind of backed off.
Well, because the fight was
it was hard and raw.
It was really hard. We got a lot of challenges from regional center and just so many things inappropriate spoken to us by schools, by administrators, by.
But you told this lady.
I
Yeah.
actually said, I just want to tell you, I am not great with this, so I don't want to cross any lines, but I just want to let you know that, I gave them a card for our podcast because this podcast is called If We Knew Then. And if I would have known everything I know right now, there's no way that elementary school would have gotten away with what they did. Absolutely not, because I wouldn't have been emotional. I would have trusted myself more. Like I would have called them on all of that stuff that they said and all of that stuff that they tried to propagate. And I would have just stayed to the letter of the law and to the fact that the IEP is a legal binding document. And I would like to think that if I had the confidence that I had today, that I wouldn't have been so emotionally draining on me. I wouldn't have allowed it. Like it takes two. The truth is it takes two to tango. And I followed their dance, and I sometimes put the music on for them. I'm like, here I am, because they knew I was a fighter. And I think we can be advocates, and I don't want to take away the fight, because I think that we have to fight sometimes, but I might have tried different tactics, and it would have still been a fight, and I would still have been
Yeah, still would have
advocating.
been a fight. Yeah.
Like there's this one,
But there may be other ways, anyway, that we've discussed that so
our
many
good
times.
friend, like Miss Shea from the last school, it was like finding the way to collaborate in a way that's a collaboration. But I do still have a very strong passion about, I'm not going to tolerate someone trying to make me feel bad because they refuse to uphold an IEP.
Yeah,
There's certain
don't stop
things
standing up.
Yeah,
and
there's certain
advocating.
things that are intolerable. You uphold the IEP. You don't use that language over my son. You don't put limits. You teach him.
Yeah. And so speaking of CWC, Citizens of the World, which was his middle school that we really liked, and actually last half of fifth grade as well. One of the reasons we chose it is because it has a very similar motto as CWC.
When we
the
said
first thing they said was, we do inclusion.
Right. And I could tell it was honest, and it wasn't like they didn't hesitate, as Olaf says. They didn't hesitate. They were just like, hey, that's what we do. Oh, and everybody was very welcoming when he was on the tour. And it's hard. Like when we were choosing the high school, we had quite a few choices. And you just have to trust your gut, know what your priority is. What is your priority for high school for your student? What do you want that to look like? And then trust your gut and go to as many high schools as you need and get
for
tours
us, it
and ask questions. Like it's kind of like dating. If they're afraid to ask a question within like right off the bat, then like the first
they're afraid to answer one.
Yeah, or if they don't answer it, or you know what I mean? Like go ask the hard questions. Ask the questions, and that way you don't waste anybody's time. And I feel like it's better to have the answers than to be surprised by the answers or to be mad that I never asked that question.
Yeah, for us, we kind of came down to we wanted a school that had experience in IEPs and also a little smaller environment.
Inclusive.
And feeling sure of an inclusive model.
And focused on the arts, how to focus on the arts.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what we chose. And it was
worked out,
still scary because you're still like, it's still a school. There's still unknowns. I still don't know. Like his elementary school was one of the number one elementary schools. It got a 10 on all the ratings. Everybody loved that school. The principal was this, so celebrated. And we got there and it was great at the beginning for our daughter, but it wasn't inclusive. It's not, so ask the questions and then just trust your gut. That's what I've learned is you trust your gut. And, we fight for our students' right and that they have a place and they belong. And I want to say that you have a place and you belong and you're the parent and you have equal belonging. I always say this, it proved to me in COVID that no parent will tolerate some of the things that we're meant to tolerate. So ask the questions and put your foot down and don't feel bad. Like it's hard, but what I've learned to do is put my foot down and then step away. I'm going to tell you what I want. Now you do it because that's what you're supposed to do. And if it doesn't happen, we have it. No phone calls, no side conversations, everything in writing. I don't take phone calls. I don't do phone calls because things can be said in phone calls that then it becomes a matter of oh, that's what they said. I didn't, he said, she said, or whatever it is. That might sound like defensive, but yeah, I don't think it's defensive. I think it's using experience and being offensive. Like, no, this doesn't work for me. I need everything in writing because I need to be able to revisit the conversation and see things clear and make sure it's clarified. So that being said, okay, so we chose the high school. It was a bit overwhelming at the beginning of his 8th grade year. I had a few anxiety attacks. I got completely overwhelmed and overrun with fear. And then, Stephen is really great. He did it for Sophia, and he researched all the high schools, and we went on all the visits, and we were very honest.
Yeah, we had a good solid 6 schools to choose from, or at least I think 4 to choose from. 2, he ended up being on a waiting list. But just to have a broad spectrum of different schools. Some I knew we were kind of investing in somehow, like taking a tour or just getting information from them, pretty much knowing we weren't going to go there for whatever reasons, like it was a really big school
but we didn't know. We still gave them we gave them a chance.
I kind of feel like in our experiences in life is like very often we'll go, oh, this isn't right, and we'll see it, and then we'll investigate and we go, oh yeah, no, okay, this is the end up being the place.
But it could have been because they had the one school that was very large, had very small, like, what are they called, like tracks, tracks, but we didn't like. But immediately, the red flag was when we showed up with Liam
on our tour.
We should have had a tour that was focused on what Liam's track was, and she looked it up and she said, "You could just put them with them."
Yeah, so we went on to a different track. That was similar, I guess,
but it was different
like
track.
Cinematography
it wasn't
track instead of the
theater
track.
But it wasn't none of the classes, none of the.
Yeah, yes, you're right, and so it kind of shines a light on how is Liam going to be treated here. Is everything going to be, the way?
Oh, it's fine. Just do this, and that's not fine.
And yeah.
So you researched, you got a bunch of them.
Yeah, and the way LAUSD works in Los Angeles is you have an option called e-choices where you can do a first, second, and third, a 1, 2, 3 list of your preferences in a high school, and then you kind of go through a lottery system to get one of those 3, but it might not be your top one first. And so one of our selections was that. I had put in a couple others, but we got the one that we would want, and then you could individually try to apply to different schools outside of your district too.
We tried everything.
Yeah, some were art schools, some weren't, but they all had some kind of art base to them.
Yeah, and that's what we wanted.
Yeah.
And another thing is ask your pediatrician. If you have a pediatrician like we do that's invested in your child, ask them. They know the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Your pediatrician knows all the schools around you. They know your child, and they can also write a letter to the school, like if there's ever any question. Like, so that's another resource is talk to your pediatrician. What do you know? Because they've been around, so they know, that's a good school. However, this is what I hear about that school because they hear it.
Oh yeah,
they know the tea. So we chose a school. And then I went back and did a second tour of that school just to make sure before we committed, before we said no to anyone else. I went back and actually cultivated a relationship with the principal. And I was happy about that because I got all the answers. I feel like sometimes as the chain goes down from the principal, it's harder to get a concrete answer. And when I spoke to the principal, he really helped me with my concerns. And I told him, listen, I'm putting you on every email I send. And I'm doing that because if we ever have to have a meeting, you have all the information. I don't expect you to respond, but they're there. And so if there's ever a question, it's not just someone coming to him going, Mrs. Sachs sends all these emails.
Here's all the info.
Here, you have the information. You may or may not read it. I don't know.
He may or may not, or she may not.
Your principal may or may not
involved in the ultimate discussions too, but they're included.
But they're also the person in charge.
Yeah.
And so I think
even having that person on email list makes the other people on the email perk up a little bit.
They respond differently.
Yes.
I find it has been my experience that people respond differently.
Yes.
And that's why also I don't take phone calls because I want them to I want it to be professional and collaborative. And I want to control the tone, and the tone remains professional and collaborative if the principal's name appears and he can access that conversation.
That being said, it has not failed that somewhere in the
goodness.
emailing of any school we've ever done and included the principal. Without fail, there will come a time when you get a response and that principal is no longer included in the email thread.
So I just add it back in.
Just add it back in. But that's
Yeah.
going to happen, and everyone
Could be
else will
an
be
accident.
included but the principal. But no, because everyone else is included but the principal.
Listen, I am following
but
our great friend
Lori's being very
Vaish's
good.
advice that we give to the school is to assume our son is able and assume the best and assume his ability. So I am going to assume the best and that it was an error because I know I get in a hurry
Well,
sometimes.
when that error happens, just go ahead and include
Just put him back on there. And you know what? And just to be clear, I want the best situation. I want full collaboration. But the reason that I assume the best intentions from the school is not for their benefit. It's for me. It's for us. Because the path that we've had with Liam's education has really been horrible. His elementary school journey with his first elementary school and the whole school district was just so disappointing and really showed the underbelly of society. And it took its toll on us, and it was devastating. But it took an emotional toll. It took a physical toll. It destroyed our trust in the education system, completely destroyed. And we had to rebuild that trust with Liam's middle school because there were some educators and supporters at his middle school level that always had the best intentions, that really cared about our son. And the injustices that he had endured, they were so disgusted by them. And it was so unfathomable. And honestly, it felt really good to start to believe in the system again. And it changed the dynamic of the situation, and it allowed there to be collaboration. And feeling that I don't want to go back to the old way. And it's kind of that fake it till you make it situation where I've had both. What do I want to assume is coming down the pike? I want to assume there's been change. I want to assume the best. I want to assume that this school stands behind their words. And that feels better for me. It takes less of a toll because I'm already so stressed out that Liam's in high school. I mean, we know what high school is. We know the challenges of high school. And there's going to be a basic stress that exists for any parent that their child is going through these milestones in an environment with strangers and just everything, peer pressure, just everything that's there. And for me to just assume that the best is going to come out of the situation, it just makes it easier. It makes it, and not easier, like I'm not looking for a shortcut. It allows me to come from a different place. It allows me to come from a collaborative space. It allows me to use a tone that's not minimizing, that doesn't minimize a person. Because I've gotten to the point, like I got to the point at the other school that I was so tired. It was like a toxic, abusive situation. And I got to the point that I just was very short with my words. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to add to the pain of the world. And you don't change anybody. You don't change anybody. And that's what the law is for. That's what IDEA is for. That's what, going to the district, filing complaints. That's what that is for.
Well, if you can stay in a place of, assuming intelligence or just doing it for yourself, then it still allows you to be aware of the past and continue those emails, continue staying on people. But you're saying from just a slightly different angle.
I'm still going to add nothing changes. Yeah, nothing changes in my advocacy. But what it does is it doesn't allow them to take my peace. Because the one, I guess, regret I have from that time is how much peace that elementary school stole from us. How much just pain we had in our lives because of them. Because we allowed it to become argumentative. We allowed ourselves to believe what they said instead of as soon as the first sign of violating a legal binding document, I should have just gone every time. I should have just filed a due process complaint every single time. I should have just filed a complaint and then been like, all right, go, because and then move forward from there, because it didn't change their actions, but eventually that file is going to be open and they're going to be like, why do you have so many complaints against you? It wouldn't have it didn't change anything. The toll it took on our family didn't change anything. It didn't change their actions. It didn't make them uphold his IEP. Nothing ever changed. I just threw myself against a wall a million times, hoping it would change.
So going into high school,
I've learned
Yeah.
because one, we had portions of our middle school that was a great experience, but I think overall that experience to be able to walk into a school and to trust that, you know, you're heard, that there are people that love your son, and that wanting to uphold inclusion, that all the intentions are there. That felt really good. You know, there were still some missteps and those were very frustrating, you know, but it wasn't anything that was new to us. So going into high school, I want to believe them, right? We chose them for a reason. So, so I want to believe that we made a good choice, I guess. I want to believe their promise. I want to believe the world's changing and my son belongs and is included. You know, it's funny because do you remember in kindergarten when they were like, can you write a book so people will understand your student? And that was kindergarten. I'm like, I think kids kind of understand each other. They're just kids. And I don't think they're the ones with the problems. And if I make a book, you must make a book. So you take the good from that. And I was just angry. I have to admit, I was really angry. I've been really angry on this road. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. Because if you're not angry at the injustice, then, you know, that I'd be more concerned if I wasn't angry about it. Because I think I'd be more hurt at the end of it all when I saw the truth if I hadn't been angry the whole time. Mm-hmm. Right? But I was really, really angry. And I think if I would have stood in disability pride and in the foundation that I was creating for Liam and our family, I might have been able to speak the truth a little clearer without that anger. Like just be like, what? Like that came out. And you can't, no matter how wrong and how insulting and just discriminatory some of the words that come at you, you can either walk away and know where that person belongs in your life. But if you want to make any kind of change, if I want to make any kind of change, I know that people, no matter how wrong they are, they won't hear you if you make them feel as small as they've just made you. And then there's no good change. I'm not saying that every so often, I'm a human, like people need to walk in the shoes that they've just put at your door. But I do know that I might have been a more effective advocate if I could have kept the same fight in me, only expressed it in a way. Like Ruth Bader Ginsburg has this quote about fight for things that mean something to you, but fight in a way that make others want to help and support you. And I'm just paraphrasing, but that's basically like fight for your cause, but do it in a way that makes people want to help you fight for that same cause. And it's really hard. Honestly, it's really hard when you're fighting for inclusion and equality and disability rights, and you're fighting a school system that's broken. You're having to talk to teachers who don't want to do the work or don't think the work is a part of their job or just don't have the training. You're talking to a school system that has budgetary constraints. And so that can be very frustrating. But I do think there's like there's a line, and I think I'm closer to walking that line now. I think I've learned enough, and I really try. And honestly, I just have to trust that I'm learning. I'm always learning. And if I do ever hurt someone's feelings or say something that I know is not the person I want to be, then I'm fully accountable to apologize for those words and say it and refrain it in a way, and also bring it back to the fact that everybody needs to be able to understand that I am only fighting for my son's rights.
Well, that's a slippery slope there, because I can guarantee you that in our community, you're adjusting yourself and saying, hey, maybe I went a little too far, or I just came out guns blazing, or whatever the thought process is. Like, oh, I could do it different in a different way. It comes to majority of the people in our community are way on the other side, are trying not to step on anybody's toes, trying not to rock the boat, because that's the kind of things
So
that we're told. Oh, we'll just give them some time. They're doing it. And I have to tell you, that's a tough spot, because it makes me upset that so many parents are put in a position of thought of like, hey, calm down. As humans, we're always in many situations, if it's talking to someone or asking a boss a question or talking to reaching out to, like, have I done too much? Is this the right? Should I just step back but as an advocate, you want to get in front. You want to go forward. You want to really represent your child. You want to keep going and stay on people. And the idea, even if it's a little bit of saying, hey, maybe there's other ways to adjust. And I understand that can be taken, though, sometimes with people going, yeah, maybe I'll step back.
Oh, no.
Good.
No. My advocacy isn't like, you've seen it this week. Okay. So my advocacy isn't, I'm not
explain
stepping
that.
back.
That's good.
I'm not stepping back. What I'm saying, and it's not for them. I feel like, I don't want to upset anybody, or I'm going to step back. That's for them.
Yeah.
For me, I have my feelings. I'm going to take my mindful minutes to step back in my own space for my peace of mind.
Yeah, that's what you mean, for you, not for them.
No. But what I realize is the law is on my son's side. And if I communicate where it's in writing and I have everything in writing, then I'm doing my best. I'm not going to give over my peace. I'm not giving my peace. I'm still advocating.
Good.
Like there's, and I do totally agree with you. And I've had so many conversations about, it's not turning over some apple cart. It's not upsetting someone so they hold grudges. If they're going to hold grudges against a child and his education, they're in the wrong, and I am not accountable to that.
And I know you're doing it. I know you're advocating. But I'm glad you're saying that, so that the audience hears that doesn't mean to pull back.
No. You advocate, but you don't. Here's the thing, like, they destroy your peace. They feed you narratives. They blatantly lie to you, deny you education, say, oh yeah, your kid can be in the classroom, but he can't be on curriculum. It's a lie. It's all a lie. Know the law, because the law is, if my child can't be on curriculum, they have to prove it to you. And if my child isn't accessing the curriculum, the law is they must provide the supports to access the curriculum, and your child has a right to an equal education. And that's enough said. And that's what I mean about, you're not going to take my peace, because I'm not going to fight with you over it.
Right.
I'm not going to mince words over the law. That's the law. Period. And if I'm going to give you some chances, because we're learning. I'm going to put everything in writing, and I'm going to timestamp it. But if you're not learning quick enough and my child is suffering, I'm not going to mince words. I've given you the chances. So here's your chance. Do it, or we will then file a complaint. Like, it is a legal binding document, and it's not, I need time to figure this out. No. If you need time, tell me how much time it is. And that is the amount of time that will be added to each assignment that my son gets. You tell me how many extra days you need to read an IEP. You tell me how many extra weeks it takes for you to implement accommodations. And every assignment that my son has, he will be taking the same luxury that you have. Mm-hmm. It's your job to teach. It's my son's job to learn. So that's what I mean. Is like, and I think there's like, the proof is in the last 8 days. Now I hate writing emails, but I've written so many emails to this school.
The new high school.
The new high school. The new inclusive that does inclusivity. That school, I've had to write so many emails because they just don't know. They haven't had a child with Down syndrome in a very long time, and none of them that were on the meeting had ever had a student with Down syndrome. So they're going to need to learn. And I can get mad at that, but my anger is not going to do anything to help my son. So I'm going to have to do some hand holding. That's what I've learned. And I'm done being mad about it because it's just how it is. And the win is they're willing to let me hold their hand. They're willing to learn. Because in the past, schools haven't. Liam's schools haven't. But in the past, really, the education system is like, nah.
And also, you can think every weekend you have thinking about the Monday coming and how, the support's going to be there. What do I need to email? I need to write. Who do I need to talk to? And every night that you may stay up thinking, how can I write this email or how do I talk to someone? They're not up at night.
Not
They're
at
not
all.
looking through the
Nope.
whole weekend worried about how Monday is going to work.
Because I have had many sleepless nights. And and you're absolutely right. They're not doing it. And that's what I mean. That's what I mean
Do
when
it
I
for
say
you.
I'm doing it for me, because they honestly, they don't care. They don't care. The people who you're having to train and fight about putting those in comment, they don't care. Because if they cared after you said it once, it would be there. So the people who care, we've worked. Miss Shay, I'll say it again. Miss Shay, you said, hey, this, and she'd be like, what? And I'd say this,
You
and then she'd
always
fix
know
it.
the person that cares because that's the person that you have a high quality and high quantity of communication with. Mm-hmm. When there's something that we talked about today about not getting an email at all or a response or anybody coming to us, any teacher or administrator or BII coming to us and just questioning maybe one thing that Liam
He's trying to say.
is trying to say. There must be something that Liam is saying that they're going, because my thing is sometimes Liam says something to me and I go, oh, wait, repeat that? Okay, I didn't get it that time.
In
Wait,
context,
say it one more time.
Is it a movie?
And then I'm really I'm asking questions, trying to get it. And maybe I even go to Sophia. And Sophia may have an easier time going, oh, yeah, he means this. There's times where hours later, a day later, we go, oh. But if they're really listening to him, and then there's going to be questions. And they would reach out and they would say, hey, what does he mean by this? Or what does he mean when he signs this? What does he mean when he says this?
Yeah. Well, we've had a hard time with communication, and that's a whole thing.
Yes.
And I will
But
say
that's-
that the way we had a nice conversation with someone, I will say, find the friends, find the helpers. Like Mr. Rogers used to say, find the helpers, and you'll find them. And then, nurture those relationships. Continue to do your work, but nurture those relationships, because those are the people that are going to be like, oh, well, I opened his crusher for him today in lunch.
Yeah, great.
Or he, you know what I mean? Or they'll look at him and they'll know. They'll keep an eye out. And we had that conversation because he was in school and he said, I'm cold, but he was saying, I have a cold because
he's fighting
he
a
has a
cold.
cold.
He
doesn't
he's
say
got a
I'm fighting a
bitter
cold.
runny
That doesn't even
nose.
make
No.
sense to Liam. That's a very abstract thing, right?
They took it as he's cold.
And then they took him to the office, and then we had to pick him up. And I'm like, I wrote a whole email this morning about this, because just in case. I wrote an entire email first thing this morning. I said, and that's what I was talking about, how I've grown. This morning I was like, he has a cold. The communication has been horrible. The communication has been horrible, and it's a big part of his IEP. And now I'm having to have another meeting about it. So I said I could just be like, all right, let's do it your way and not communicate. And then, but it's not like part of me wants to go, all right, you know what? Let's see how your way works for a week. But you know who's going to suffer? My son is going to suffer. So ego gone. I got up. He's fighting a cold. I wrote a whole thing, fighting a cold. This is how it
Tissues
will
are in his
look.
bag.
Tissues are in his
Mask.
bag. He can wear a mask. Let him take the elevator. All of these notes of this is what you should do. And this will make his
Make
day
sure he
go.
drinks water.
Make sure. Yeah. Right. All of that. And then we get a call to pick him up because he has a cold. I'm like,
because
that-
he's cold.
he has, and he looks sickly. And I'm like, because that was it. He
No,
looks sickly. I'm like, yeah, he has a cold.
Mm-hmm.
He's fighting a cold. That was the email. Did you read the email? No. Did nobody forwarded you, the nurse, the email? No. Okay. So that's a thing. That's a conversation. I had a nice conversation with her and I said, look, I'm getting a line drawn in the sand. Nobody wants to communicate with me because people take communication really personally. And most people take communication as you're judging what they do. And I have a really hard time. That's split with me because part of me is like, what are you doing wrong
That
that you're afraid that I'm going to judge? Like, what
you
do
should be able to come back with just as an educated or
Yes.
communication back.
Yes. Yes. And so I said, listen, can you please communicate to your group that this is what happened? And this is the second time it's happened. This is the second time something's happened because you don't understand what he said or you haven't read a note that has given you instructions that would help you in this situation.
But she apologized.
She did. She was
say,
great.
hey,
She's a helper.
And
I
she's
put
going
in
to
my
be an
book.
ally in the classroom.
But what I wanted to say in a more positive note was the beginning of the school year when people were always like, well, what do we need to do? I just took it. I'm like, this is high school. This is new. Lots of teachers, lots of school. And there's a lot of new stuff that I know Liam can memorize. But starting out as a support, I got a bunch of these folders that are durable. And I bought some extra because they also rip even though they're plastic. I'll cover the teacher's name right there. And what I did was I put the subject and then I put the room number, Liam socks in case it gets lost, what period, because, you know, first, second, third, and then the teacher's name is right there. And then in his IEP, he has access to like formulas. So these sheets that they give, so he can reference this in class and also in testing. He can reference the steps. It's not going to be the same problem, but he can reference the steps. So that's in his math folder.
And you put a composition book in there.
Uh-huh. And also in his IEP is that he has that notes should be printed for him to put in his notebook. Now, there's no notes in here. He's actually been like just writing a little bit, but this teacher's really great because they give us the handouts. So that's wonderful. And then
on here,
to promote self-advocacy and also in case somebody else is with Liam, I put a list of his accommodations right here, calculator, more time,
just right
seat
on the
closer.
inside.
Just right on the inside.
Another big label.
Another big label. So that's what I did. And I did that for every class, including PE. I did it.
And different colors for the
different colors for each
folder. You tried to match
folder.
the composition books with the colors.
Yeah, I tried to color code, but I also did PE and I did theater because they get notes and maybe Liam wants to write something down. And I feel like PE usually has a nutritional value to it. You know, that kind of component.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that way he can print it. But it's there. Now here's the thing. Will they follow everything? Hopefully eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
I really do believe eventually.
But it hurts a little bit in the first week. There, like in most subjects,
the first week was horrible.
Zero, like
it was horrible.
notes
But
in
we're
there.
on it. It was horrible and it was so disappointing because I had a 90-minute conversation with everyone before the beginning of the school year.
But
so
it's there. It's going to happen.
It's gonna happen. But this is the also part of it. In the communications, I wrote there is a notebook in every class. You know, his accommodation, print out the notes, paste them in there, or put them in his folder, and I will cut them out and tape them in there, even though that's what they're supposed to do in school. I can do that work. I can do that. So the reason why I did it all and communicated it all is I don't think this is that kind of school, but if they ever tried to fail him or give him a bad grade, like I wish I would have done this for his science teacher last year who didn't teach him. Mm-hmm. The reference is in there to go, well, this is your grade. There's no notes in there. How's he supposed to study if there's no notes? It's in his list of accommodations for you to print the notes and put it in there and also communicate and front load if there's a test coming. So I do that in hopes and believing, right? And what is it called? What do we do? We believe the ability. We believe.
It also guides and promotes.
And promotes. It does that work for them.
Yeah.
So they can start from there. But also, Liam's not going to suffer the consequence of somebody not doing the job they're supposed to do. That will never happen to Liam again. People will be held accountable. And that's what I mean. Like, I can hold people accountable and I don't have to, like, have a numb face because of stress. I don't have to live in fear. I don't have to make myself small because I don't want to upset anyone. If you're upset because I'm mad that you're violating my child's civil, fundamental, foundational human right, if that's what upsets you, that's really not my problem. And it's not my concern. And to be honest, if you're mad at me for those reasons, I really don't care. That's not my concern. Figure out how to do what you're supposed to do. Instead of being mad at me because I'm holding you accountable for what you refuse to do. So
you just shake that off.
Shake it off. Tay-Tay, shake it off. No, yeah, because the haters are going to hate. But that's what I mean. It's like I have woken up going like, this is what's going in my email. This is the email I'm writing today. That's why I wrote the email this morning. That did happen. But then on Sunday morning when I woke up and there was a tape playing in my head, I said, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to do that when we want to do it. It's not going to overwhelm us, because even if I sat up right in bed right then, got my laptop and started to write a letter, it probably wouldn't make any sense and I'd have to rewrite it anyway. I was really upset. I came home Friday and I had to spend 2.5 hours like responding to an email and a thing that happened in school. And I was really upset about that. I was upset that it took my time. And I was upset because I don't want to go down that path again. I'm not going to go down that path again. But at the beginning, I'm probably going to have to write some emails.
At the beginning.
At the beginning. I don't intend to do it for 4 years. If you can't get, like, they're going to meet me. They're going to find that place, and the collaboration will take place. I will also say that I did 2 book bags, because if you have a block schedule, that way your kid doesn't have to.
Yeah, if you have like an A schedule and a B schedule, you can have an A book bag, a B book bag.
But the first week was really triggering and it was exhausting. I really felt like I was screaming into an empty cavern again. I felt like I was saying things and I really felt like nobody cared. And it took all of my might not to write that in an email, because that is bringing your emotions into the email, which I'll save that for the egregious violations. But I did say I was sad. I said, this makes me really sad to think of my child sitting there without the support next to him and trying to figure it out on his own, because it's in his IEP. I did say that but I didn't.
It is sad. But we do have to know that there's going to be that adjustment time. I guess, we did a episode called Transitions, and this is like an administration teacher's transition that shouldn't really happen, but like you said, they haven't had someone with Down syndrome in their school they can remember. I mean, they have, but nobody actually experienced it, and so we have to expect. Somewhere in our history.
That's so sad.
Nobody was there.
That's
And this is like a generation ago that there was someone with Down syndrome in
But
their
we know
school.
why. We know why, right?
So there is that transition of learning the way we work, having a bar that we set, and that everyone comes to that. And it'll happen.
And we could, what I think about how we have the bar and we have it set, and we want the bar on. It just reflects what we want for our student. We want that bar held high, the way we hold it for everyone else, and that's just what we do for the school. And I think that's a really great way to articulate it. Look, the bar is held high for my student, and I'm not going to lower the bar for you. I'm gonna keep that same bar, because I have the same expectations of you. I expect greatness from you. Talking about the school.
Yeah.
I expect you to have changed. I expect you to have evolved. I expect you to collaborate. And I expect you to want to uphold an individual's rights to an education.
I think that expectation all around will just make things better and just make everyone come together in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't expect them to fail my child. And I think why it's so hard is because I expected the same things from his first elementary school, and that felt like, because I almost willed it into being. I saw what I wanted to see. I kept working and thinking and hoping, and it never happened. And actually the complete inverse, is that right? Inverse, the complete opposite. I was trying to use a big word. The complete opposite happened. And I think that is what is triggering. But for me, and I think it's healthy in a relationship to go into it and just be present with whatever is before me. And if somebody's communication is lacking, that's their communication, and it's not any other school, any other teacher, any other administrator that came before them. That person has their own reasons and their own lessons to learn, or their own, whatever it is. It's not egregious, I'm just not going to do it. It could be, that's not how we usually do it. That's not our policy. Well, we're going to do things different. So I think that is one of the things that I'm taking, that I've learned, to just be present in whatever's in front of me and let it be whatever it is.
Yeah, then it'll all work out.
Well, it's all always going to
gonna
work
work
out.
out.
No, we know.
Yeah.
And here, that's the thing. Yeah, you're right. Liam is still on curriculum in high school, and he's been handed every educational challenge, from trying to like not even let him in the school to trying to remove him from curriculum in the kindergarten to just all of these things. And he's fine.
Freshman
and he's smart.
on curriculum in a classroom with his peers.
And we can see the work that's getting done. And I'll be honest, at this point, I don't care about grades. I really don't. That's not my like driving force. Teach him.
Mm-hmm.
Teach him. And if I know what's being taught, then I can have a hand. I can have a say in that. Right?
Yeah.
I believe that things will change and the support will be there, and he'll find his groove, or we'll find our groove, because it's never about Liam. The truth is, it's never about Liam finding his groove.
He's getting to his classes. He's meeting students. He's meeting his teachers.
But we want an education for him.
We do.
And so we got to work for that. That's what and that's what we've taken on. That's the decision that we made. And that's what we're.
How do you end the emails with like, instead of like sincerely, what is the good way to like go out of this
And just so you
episode?
know, I have grown, because normally I'll be like, oh, with utmost appreciation and all of these things that I really do mean in my heart, but it's not the moment before me. I don't appreciate any of this.
So what do you put?
I put onward, and I drop down, I write in collaboration, comma. Like, that's
great.
it. We're moving forward. Here's all the problems we experienced today. Now, onward and in collaboration. And just know, I don't just laundry list, by the way. I don't just laundry list. This is everything you did wrong. I say, this was a challenge.
No, it's
Why?
collaboration.
This is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot of collaborating with myself.
Yeah.
But I say onward and collaboration.
So onward.
In collaboration.
And reach out anytime if you have any questions or comments. And we're here. Good luck.
You're doing great.
Yeah. And to the next one.
Yep. Onward.
Please follow us on Twitter at If We Knew Then Pod, and you can drop us a line on our Facebook page at If We Knew Then Pod, or visit our website, ifweknewthen.com, to send us an email with questions and comments. And you can join our mailing list there and get alerts of future podcast episodes. All these links will be added to this episode's show notes. Thank you again, and we look forward to you joining us on the next episode of If We Knew Then.
From the dawn